Google CEO Sundar Pichai is scheduled to testify today in the company's antitrust trial. The ongoing probe brought by the Justice Department and state prosecutors claims Google illegally used its power to ensure its search engine remained on top. The company currently holds more than 90% of the search engine market share. Pichai is expected to argue that Google's success comes from innovation and quality of its products, according to reports. Joining us now is George Hay, former chief economist for the DOJ Antitrust Division. Good to talk to you today. You know, I went back and looked at the comments from you when this case was first filed. And I'm wondering, as you follow this case, now that we have seen the testimonies come through, has that really changed your view in terms of how strong the case is for the DOJ?
No, I don't think so. You have to appreciate that the preparation for this case doesn't go back 2 years, it goes back 15 years. Everything Google has done has been done more or less in the public. They know that they'll be scrutinized by state attorneys general, by the DOJ, by armies of private lawyers. They didn't do things which their lawyers said were obviously unlawful. So they committed this trial believing they have arguments for every allegation the government has made.
And how successful do you think they're going to be in arguing this, especially when you look at their increasing push into generative AI and really cornering that market as well?
Well, the basic argument, which the CEO will make, is that they're so big because they're so good. And there's probably an element of truth to that. Everyone would agree, I think, that they are the best search engine. The big question, the elephant in the room, is what about these $27 billion of payments to Apple and others? Google will say, we'd still be number one. And then the question, well, why did you pay out all this money? So I think the focus of attention is going to be on why they paid so much money if it wasn't necessary to make sure they remain number one. It also is a risk of they'll play into the government's case on remedies. If they're convinced the court that they didn't need all this money to remain number one, then it follows that eliminating these exclusive deals won't necessarily hurt them. So if what the government has in mind is ending these arrangements, Google's testimony may help that argument.
George, how do you view that $26 billion, roughly? I mean, if the question is about whether, in fact, the consumer is harmed as a result of Google's dominance in the market, what does that money tell you about how Google has gained that position?
Well, again, it could well be that they're number one, and they will be number one, would be number one anyway. But those payments are suspicious. Do they freeze out the competition? Do they remove any possibility that competitors get a foothold? And so I think it could still be true that they're a very good search engine, and even without these payments, they would still be very strong. But these payments raise a question, and I think an important part of the testimony will be why we needed these payments, why, in what sense these payments are a good thing for competition, because the obvious implication is that it freezes out competitors.
And how critical is Sundar Pichai's testimony today to this particular case and to Google proving the fact that, look, we just have a good product. This is not about a monopoly.
It's largely an element of theater. Google wants to make sure the judge thinks they're not blowing it off, that they take these allegations very seriously. But nothing's going to happen today that hasn't come out already in the 3 weeks or 4 weeks of trial. All the documents have already been seen. I'm sure they'll cross-examine him with some documents, but they probably already would have come out in trial. And in any event, he would have seen them in his preparation. So I don't think that there are any going to be any gotcha documents. I don't think there'll be any blockbuster revelations. It's simply putting a human face on why we did what we did.
And when you look at some of the 30-odd witnesses who are testifying, I mean, it includes not just experts and executives from Apple and Microsoft, also psychologists as well. What do you think what is the mindset behind including psychologists in this?
Well, the basic argument is that although the technologists will say you can just click a few buttons and get to another search engine, the psychologists will say, but that's not the way consumers behave. There's a lot of inertia. And if you're the default search engine, consumers are going to use you, even if there's a possibility that other search engines could get you what you need. So that's an important part of the testimony. Consumers don't always act in a purely rational perspective. We take the easy way out. And if the search engine is already there on my machine and hasn't given me any pain, I'm not dissatisfied with it, there's no reason to explore and navigate another search engine and learn how to use it.
I appreciate you giving us that insight there onto this case and what's going on here. George Hay, former chief economist for the DOJ Antitrust Division. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.